Hey! It's Rior here, and today we are gonna be going over not really your gameplay, but more so like general ADCs that I want you to think about actively when you get into games. Um, so just to highlight some of the things, we'll be going over micro, ADC game knowledge, and lane matchups. Okay, so the concept I kind of want to shoot for today is auto tech ranges and champion matchups. So in this lane incident, I'm playing Caitlyn. Okay, we saw where the casters and all the minions ended, but I'm playing Caitlyn. Okay, and we're just gonna say enemy ADC is Thane. Okay, support matchup where we're not really gonna be concerned about it. We're just leaving them there for the sake of saying they're there. Um, the biggest part about laning on AD is understanding damage and essentially like what can and can't I do throughout our lane. And the best way to understand this is through hitting your A key. For some people it's X, but I believe it's your A key. My auto attack range on Caitlyn is 650. So I consistently outrange both enemy champions, and no matter what, I'm always going to be hitting them from the edge of my attack range. And you can see that I drew a line here just to show you what their attack range is. I can always just be right on the edge of it to where the threat of them hitting me can always be eliminated by playing the edge of my attack range. So, in a sense, what I'm doing is I'm going to play my max range at all times. So my circle is a bit bigger. Sorry, I know my circles are kind of bad. My attack range is a bit bigger than his. So as soon as somebody steps into my attack range, I have the unique ability to always walk up and auto attack them and trade with them. So if we're playing Caitlyn, Ashe, something with really far range, it's really important to be keeping track of your minions, your farm, but also understanding this person's in my bubble, and in my bubble I can hit them. If I step too far, then I'm going to start taking damage from them, and I'm not using my advantage as an ADC of playing into their bubble, or out of their bubble, having the ability to have more range. So this is kind of a really big micro lesson where we need to understand that standing just outside somebody's range, and I'm gonna also this is gonna be a dual video. This is gonna be for you, Aiden, and you, Michael. But we're gonna talk about ADC first. It's very important to gauge, people's limitations and ranges. By playing the edge of my bubble and the edge of my circle, I make it to where I can constantly gain those little HP leads. If you've ever played into a Draven Janna, you know how terrible it feels to take those Hail of Blades 2 auto attacks from Draven with Janna Shield because you can't trade back. But if you play your range properly, if anybody steps in your bubble, you auto and you walk away. Or, you have your gap closing tools like E, and you can place down a trap to create even more space. So it's important to recognize, I need to be doing this. I need to be playing my range at all times during all stages of the game, especially as an ADC. It's very useful in the bot lane, but more so for the ADC. Okay, the next concept I want to go over, aside from those auto attack ranges, are it's very unique and it's very difficult, but once you pick it up, it's super useful. And this is more so applicable for just synergy. Okay, and they're essentially called bot lane triangles. Okay, we always want to be creating angles where we can isolate each other. Essentially, if somebody mispositions or oversteps, for instance, this target dummy, we want our ally and ourselves to be the first to be able to hit them. Okay? So right now this is a super neutral position. We can see that we have a triangle here. They have a triangle on us. But ADC is too far away for them to have a triangle upon. So essentially what it is if we decided, hey, we're going to take a trade on this target. Okay, we are both going to be able to hit this individual, this one character, faster than this person can get access to fighting the ADC. So this means we might get 1 to 2 extra auto attacks or abilities or seconds in general of fight time on an individual target. And this is super, super valuable. By creating kind of, I also just realized I said Michael, but Joey. By creating isolated triangles on lane opponents, it makes it to where it's a much safer time for you and your teammate to fight somebody. It puts it out of reach of access of this person and their actual viable attack range. Because by us just standing here in a line from each other and both attacking somebody, it makes it to where we isolate this person. So if we're playing a Leona, for instance, we know that Leona can QE this person, and we can full combo them for just a couple of seconds. You know, we have Leona hop over, and I'm gonna move the dummies around. We have Leona hop over, and now we're both in activatable range of doing combos, participating in a fight. So I can WE auto Q, and it's then and only then after we do all that can this training dummy or this enemy champion actually gain access to hitting Leona. He has to take those 1 to 2 seconds or, you know, abilities or auto attacks before he actually enters this space, the effective range of us. So while we're here fighting and gaining an advantage of HP or whatever, a trade window, it makes it incredibly hard for them to step in. And this is something that we should put into practice all the time. We always want, and if you watch any pro VODs, you'll also see it. You'll always see bot laners working in a square like this. You'll always see them in some way, shape, or form. What is the hotkey? Sorry. You'll always see them in a square like this, where the support and the AD are staying in a line perpendicular to them and making a square, because they understand that the moment the angles change and it's something like this, you're isolating a target and allow for better trading opportunities. This guy can't actually enter the rest of the fight unless he waits the 1 to 2 seconds of actually moving and playing his effective range. So the moment we create these triangles and these opportunities to trade, it means, hey, we can attack this guy. Hey, we have a minor advantage in how we fight. And this can be the make or break for a lot of those early skirmishes and trades in the bot lane. So just keep in mind while you're laning, you always want to be in line with each other, or creating a square or a triangle. You want to be making these shapes so the lane matchup stays relatively even. And this is just so everybody can play their effective range. Okay, so I'm going to keep it relatively brief when considering these last 2 points, and it's probably more so a little bit more important than the lane triangles and squares and the auto attack range thing. Obviously, we understand we have an effective range. In order to deal damage, somebody has to walk into our circle. The thing is, there's always room for human error. Okay, all the time we might click too far, and we might be in somebody else's range. Okay, and it goes for both sides. Very frequently, you'll see an enemy overstep, or you'll overstep into an enemy's range, regardless of what champion you're playing. The thing about this is people need to understand that the solution isn't always to run away or to fight. The biggest piece about it, and I kind of had this dilemma with John Mark's gameplay, where I kind of had to point out the fact that the biggest resource we can gain for ourselves is experience. Not the stat experience to level up your character, but general experience. Understanding, like, for instance, I play a lot of Samira, and I understand at what levels I can kill every single ADC in the game. I know what items and XP are required in any matchup in the game. You can ask me at any stage of the game, and I would tell you if I win the isolated 1v1 or not. And this is something that just comes with experience. But what it leads to, and what you see me, talk about a lot in my own gameplay, is confidence. And now, it really boils down to, especially in lower brackets, and this is very applicable to solo queue, less so fives, but if you play with the confidence that you understand you can win your lane, like by spacing through the lane shapes, by movements, by farm, by all the little pieces that help you build the gold and the lead, if you play with confidence, it exudes, in a sense, like an aura. Okay, it's really irritating playing against Draven because his entire champion is built around this. His entire champion is built around playing forward. And a really huge part of bot lane is understanding when can I stat check that confidence? When can I fight? When can I not fight? And it's important to gain the experience through fighting and game knowledge to say, I'm confident in what's about to happen. I can play with certainty that we can turn this. There's a couple of moments, Joey, when I was playing ADC, I think it was with you, where we're a 4th HP, and I go, let's just turn. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense. Why would we turn here? We're so low. But it's because of my confidence in my game knowledge and knowing my champion and its limitations that I can always say with confidence whether we should go in or out, no matter what. And that's something you guys need to work on, is just understanding like, oh, it's Draven Janna. We need to play lane mitigation till we're 2 items. We need to play safe, not relinquish any resources, and not disrespect them, and they need not to disrespect us. You need to gauge like, okay, I can play the game in X way, and make sure you are 100% about this. If you're unsure, you have another ADC player on your team. Okay, it's Chris, and Chris also has a good amount of bot lane knowledge. You can always go, hey Chris, or you can ask Kale, who's listened to me bitch about ADC for 20 years. You can go, hey Kale, do you know how this bot lane matchup goes? Do you know like when I can all in, or like when I need to play safe, or like what I should be looking for in my lane? You need to make sure that you ask these questions to yourself and make sure you have the knowledge to play with confidence. Always. Please. 100% of the time. Okay. Last and final thing. And it's quick, it's easy, it's simple. In terms of waves, the way I want you to count them in a 5v5 setting, it's very different from solo queue. But in a 5v5 setting, every 3rd wave is a cannon wave. This one. I've had to explain this to Money Sign Thomas many, many times. It is significantly better to base before a cannon wave, because one of 2 things happen. The lane opponent shoves you in, and what happens is the enemy cannon minion will soak more tower damage, which means you're going to miss less minions if there's a cannon, okay? Or they don't shove, the lane will go even, and you don't miss a cannon. So either way, by basing on this 3rd wave, you can count 1, 2, 3 every time. On the 3rd wave, a cannon minion will spawn. By basing on cannon wave, you lose the least amount of resources. This is super important. The ideal time to base would be when wave 2 arrives in the middle of lane. You hard shove. And you look at your minimap and you check where your minions are. If your minions are behind this tower right here at tier 2, you will miss nothing. If you get your recall off before the minions pass this line, you will miss nothing. The enemy won't gain anything. That is the most perfect time to base. Hard shove, wave 2. So if the game is neutral, you don't have objectives coming up, you don't have to worry about wave management, you just hard shove wave 2, base, come back wave 3. Always, always, always look to do this, because it makes it to where you miss less, and if the opponent is basing on wave 1, this means you can get 2 plates. If the opponent is basing on wave 3, you can also get 2 plates. Almost always. Sometimes it's 1. But it's important to always look through hard shove on wave 2, and then base and be on your way back before the minion wave gets here, because it just makes it to where you don't miss anything. Yeah, and now we're going to go to our recap. Okay, so for our recap, we're going to talk about everything that we went over today, and then I'm going to give you guys just kind of some basic toddler homework. And if you have any questions, comments, and concerns, please ask me. Please feel free. 1, okay, first and foremost, range. At the start of every game, I want you to look at matchup, which determines range. So this is also like, are we taking extended fights? Are we taking short fights? Are we strong at 6? Just shit like this. I want you to pay attention to this every time. Every time you load into a game. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. It's simply, I'm playing Kai'Sa, you're playing Nautilus. We have really big burst potential. I'm running Hob. Let's try to fight levels 1 through 3. Caitlyn outranges me. I'm going to lose the push. Shit like that you need to say at the start of the game and talk about amongst the two of you. 2. Shapes. I fucking hated geometry, but in League of Legends, it's super easy. You're going to be looking at squares and triangles for trading patterns. Triangles are awesome. Squares are also good. It means you're neutral. If you are the one that's at the tip of the triangle, then you're in a bad position. Make sure you're not at the tip of the triangle. Okay? Always make sure you can try to isolate an enemy at any point in time to give yourself that extra auto or 2 in an extended fight. 3. Game knowledge / experience. And lastly, what it leads to, confidence. Play with confidence. You're not going to learn anything if you AFK under your tower. You're not going to learn anything if you just roll over every single lane. You're not going to win anything if you see enemy ADC is Diamond 1 and you're afraid of a Diamond 1 player. You're not going to learn fucking anything. Okay? I throw all the time. I'm a Masters, Grandmaster player. I throw all the time. Okay? And I can't tell you how many times people not having confidence into me on a stage has made it to where I can just beat the fuck out of them. Just because they're not sure of themselves. Make sure you're sure of yourself. Make sure you learn something every game. Pay attention to what you missed every time. Always look for new game knowledge and experience and exude as much confidence as you can in lane. And if you're unsure, phone a friend. And then lastly, the last thing, make sure you're counting waves. 1, 2, 3, hard shove on 2. If you need to base, this is what you need to do. I don't ever want to see 2,000 gold in your inventory. This is ridiculous. Having this much money in your pocket and it's not a team fight or like post-team fight, then you're doing something very wrong. You need to make sure that you're finding time to recall. It's important to have your items so you can actually fight and sustain in lane. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, one last recap. Pay attention to range matchup. Look for trading patterns with shapes. Exude confidence. And pay attention to your wave management. And for your homework, please, together, you two together, Aiden and Joey, go watch a T1 VOD. And go look at Guma and Carrie play together. Just pay attention to how they play off each other and take some notes. Just be like, they're standing there or looking there for whatever reason. Or even go look at Core JJ and Yeon. Those are both another really good synergy. Just pay attention to them. See how they are looking at each other. I don't think it's Core JJ and Yeon now that I think about it. But, go look at TL or FlyQuest's, bot lane. And just watch them. See how they interact with each other and see how they support each other throughout the laning phase. And if you don't know something or you have a question, feel free to ask me. But yeah, thank you so much. Bye.